Hey everybody, I'm Ocean Siren. I figured since I was really behind on my videos, I would do another one. The week 7 question for the YouTube Pagan Challenge, which was, how do you view a sacred text and mythology? I believe that was how it was worded. This one is a little bit interesting for me because ever since I was a kid, sacred texts and or mythologies were always great stories. They weren't necessarily, like some people, they read the Bible and that's it. They were never it for me. My dad would tell me stories and they were lessons. The characters were characters and they were lessons. I have always, and as I got older and started reading more mythologies and understand or attempting to understand the viewpoints of other societies, I kind of came to the idea, and this may change, who knows, but I kind of came to the idea that people put forth sacred texts and mythologies as a way of wrapping our heads around something that was bigger than us. I don't know how else to put it. A lot of people, they reference the Bible. Honestly, I've never read the thing. And I know in my previous video, I just talked about going to Catholic school, but I listened to the stories. I listened to, I had people read it to me. I was very young. I had people read it to me and I listened to the stories. And even at that time, I would kind of say, that makes no sense. Or, okay, But even still, I never saw it as gospel. I always saw it as a story, almost like you would read me fiction. Or a nursery rhyme or something. How they have for little kids where you watch TV and at the end of it is the moral. That's how I always saw religious texts. There was a moral to it. It wasn't necessarily that, oh, this is the story of this person or blah, blah, blah. No, it was that, look what this person did. This is what happened. Note. And I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying it quite right, but that's kind of always how I saw it as a kid. It was the cautionary tale. There we go. It was the cautionary tale or the, look, he did this. It turned out great. The whole, the million and one little doodahs that my dad used to tell me as a kid. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. Give a man a fish, leave for a day. Teach a man to fish, leave for the rest of his life. Teach a man to fish. Whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but all those little things have came from little Bible stories or whatever. And that's kind of how I always saw religious texts. They were lessons, morals, cautionary tales, things like that. Now, when you talk about stories of deities present themselves in all kinds of ways. One person may get a message from Hecate or Hal or the Morgan or from Pan or from anyone, and Hades, anyone, and it may not look the same as something else. So when I see paintings of, the birth of Aphrodite, and she's in the middle of the ocean in a shell, tall, thin, beautiful white woman with, flowing hair and all this kind of thing. Maybe that's how he saw her. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's how she presents herself all the time. So again, I take those with a bit of a grain of salt. I take them as someone has taken artistic license and they have created this beautiful work of art, be it literature or painting or anything else, and given us their interpretation of this particular deed or this particular happening. I do a lot of medieval reenactment, and I kind of see it the same way. We look at paintings, we look at literature, we look at all this kind of thing, and we try to decipher what they wore, how they act, what they ate, so on and so forth, what they were going through at the time. It's very difficult, but all of that stems from those sacred texts and everything. It's to me, now this is my opinion, people, my opinion, to me it's relative. People were going through stuff. We're all going through stuff at every stage in time. You're going through something, and that trickles into whatever it is that you're creating. That's why it's creating. If you don't put yourself in it, then what the hell is it? And so I feel like, a lot of sacred texts and everything that we read, you got to remember what the people were going through at the time. You you have to be able to put that in, put yourself in their shoes and walk that. If not, then I feel like you missed something. But I've always seen, again, to bring this full circle, I've always seen sacred texts and mythologies and things like that as just cautionary tales. Deities present themselves to people in 1,000,001 ways, and that was their way of being able to take that almost, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but that crazy, you know, almost psychedelic maybe even experience, and putting it into something that they can then share with the rest of us. You know, it's interesting. One gentleman I was watching on YouTube, I cannot remember his name, but if I can remember his channel, I'll put it up. If I can find the video, I'll put it down in the down bar there. But he did a video on this kind of thing, and how you'll get one person, you know, like when you try to, he compared it to an orange, and he said, you know, this one person, they experienced the orange, they had the orange, they ate the orange, they knew what the orange was about, so on and so forth. And then he goes, oh my God, this is amazing, I need to tell other people about this. So then he would tell other people about the orange, but the other people had never eaten the orange. They just knew what this guy had said. And so they experienced the orange through this person, but they had never actually eaten it. So they're going now telling everybody else about the orange, moving on about the orange, and so on and so forth. I don't remember exactly where I was going with this, but the bottom line was that the one person did the work. They went through and they had the experience. And then the other people read about it. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. You know, these people that wrote these sacred texts, that had these experiences, that did these paintings and all this kind of thing, they experienced it. We can only look on what they've done and attempt to draw something from it until we have an experience of our own. So that's kind of, I know that was a little bit long-winded yet again, but that's kind of how I view sacred texts in that way, is that, you know, you take them with a grain of salt until you can put your own 2 cents into it, until you have your own experience and you can say, yep, I see where you're at. I get you. Until then, all you can do is read them and try and take what you can and move on with your life. That's how I see it. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'd love to hear if you agree or disagree. Respectfully. Thank you. Until next time, blessed be everyone. Bye.